All right, I am Rome Bailey, and do I have some interesting stuff to talk about for you today? So, today I'm going to go over the 5 biggest homeowner mistakes that I see almost on a day to day, if not weekly basis. So, the big 5 that I'm going to be covering today is going to be spray foam, when to use it, how it's really supposed to be installed. This is more of a judgment call. Obviously, it's not the homeowner doing this, but want to make sure it's done correctly the first go round so it doesn't lead to problems down the road. Number 2 is going to be cleaning your gutters. For my warriors out there to decide to clean their own gutters, mad respect, but there's a wrong and a right way to do it, and these are going to be some precautions. Number 3 is going to be overgrown vegetation. This is something to definitely keep an eye on, so there's a couple things that I'm going to dive into there. Number 4 is just going to be general maintenance. I'm going to touch a little bit on the average lifespan of certain components of the roof. That way, while you're getting promised a lifetime warranty, you don't have a leak in 5 years. Lastly, number 5 is waiting for a storm that may never come. So let's jump right into it. Number 1 is going to be spray foam. So this is becoming a very, very popular way to keep the home cooler. I see it time and time again and have stepped into a lot of them. Do I think it's a great application? Absolutely. I think it's fantastic. I've walked in a couple attics when it's 100 degrees outside and it feels great. But there's a wrong and a right way to do it, in the instance that it will always work no matter how the installer does it on the 2 ways I'm going to talk about. But if they do it a certain way, you're probably going to run into issues with your roof. And here's why. Ventilation is the single most important part, maybe outside of how the roof is actually installed. It is actually going to give it the appropriate lifespan. So the way spray foam is going to be typically installed, and I see a lot that is incorrect, is people just go in and then they just spray straight underneath the roof decking, meaning the actual frame where the nails and the underlayment's all nailed down. They just spray all the way up it. They'll cover cords sometimes. They'll cover other pipes and other components. There's actually 2 issues with this. The big issue with this is it doesn't allow the shingles to breathe. Now there's no room for it to breathe at all, meaning everything, all that heat that's baking on the shingles, it can no longer escape through. It's essentially just boiling on the top of the surface, and that is guaranteed to void your warranty if you do have ventilation issues. It's not 100% you're going to have ventilation issues, but if you can imagine if you had a whole attic space letting your roof breathe and now you don't, it's a big difference. Now, what would be the right way to do it? What you can do is it's corrugated styrofoam. What you do is you staple this underneath the rafters. And what that allows is you can spray foam over that application, and you're going to get the same result as far as keeping the house cooler and keeping your attic cooler, but you're at least going to give enough breathing room between the width of the rafters, meaning when that cold air blows, comes into your soffits, which is your intake, it's going to be able to allow it to breathe through those rafters and allow that heat to actually escape through whatever kind of ventilation system you have. Usually it's going to work best with some kind of ridge ventilation system. Which leads me to my other problem that may occur if you do the spray foam insulation and you just spray it underneath the roof decking is whenever we go to do a new roof and you have other components that were sprayed on underneath that we need to remove, your box vents, your turtle vents, your whirlybirds, your power vents, now all those components that need to be cut out and removed, now I'm creating a hole in that spray foam insulation. Now you're going to incur extra cost to have somebody come out there and actually plug those holes. I don't know what those costs necessarily look like. They may not be substantial where it's a big thing for you, but it's something that a lot of people don't consider when they get that spray foam insulation. Number 2, let's get into my warriors that love to clean their own gutters. This is a great way to save cost. Let's say you haven't found a gutter guard that just works for your home. It usually creates more irrigation issues, which occasionally happens. The right way to do it is actually kind of a more dangerous way to do it, meaning you actually move your ladder around the home. You use something like your hand, glove, some kind of hook, something that's going to remove it. What a lot of homeowners do, if it's a low slope roof, meaning like your 2 to 5, 6 pitch even, they'll climb up on the roof and then they'll do it from the top. They'll blow it out from the top. While this is a much safer, easier way to get it done, a lot of times it's quicker too. Be cautious, because the more you walk on a roof, it's not meant to be walked on constantly. Yes, inspections happen, repairs need to be made, but even then I caution going up and down when you're doing a repair the exact same path every single time. It's good to deviate, find a different way to go on the occasion, because that heavy foot traffic is definitely going to shorten the lifespan of the shingles in those areas. It's going to wear down the granules, and then now your shingles are more exposed to the sun and they're going to break down a good bit faster. So if it's something you're doing constantly, it's definitely something you need to just prepare to maybe even have replaced and just keep an eye on overall. Number 3 is going to be overgrown vegetation. This isn't something I see all the time. A lot of the times it's mostly just tree branches that are hanging over a roof. This can lead to tree rub. So whenever the wind's blowing, even if it's not making direct contact all the time, it starts to make contact and then it's just rubbing the shingles. It's going to wear them down faster. It's going to knock off the granules, again, leading those shingles to be more exposed to the sun, which is going to just make them break down a good bit faster. If you do have a landscaping company, it can be inconvenient and maybe be an extra charge, but it's never a good thing to just have plants in general just growing on your roof. It's going to have constant 100% shade over your roof, which means moss is going to grow pretty quickly. Algae, not that big of a deal. It's unpleasant to look at. It does stain, but moss is a big problem. So if it's covered 24/7, that's a lot of times you're going to get the moss that's going to grow, and moss, like most plants, has roots. So it's going to root into your shingle, and that's when it can become a big problem. So just be wary, making sure you're cutting stuff off the roof. And this also is going to prevent a lot of animals from just being able to hop on top of your roof, which is another problem in and of itself. Constant foot traffic from an animal isn't quite as bad as a human because they're a lot lighter, but it is going to stack up over time. Getting those animals off your roof is just an added bonus to not having things that close to your home. Now let's step into number 4, general maintenance. So this stuff's important to note because there's different components, like let's say your pipe boots. An average plastic neoprene pipe boot has about a 10 to 12 year lifespan. So even if you do get a good 20, 30 years out of your shingles, a lot of these components are going to be the first ones to leak. So keeping that in mind, even though your roof is only maybe half, third way through its lifespan, having somebody you know that will generally just come and do an inspection. They don't have to get up on the roof necessarily every time. I always advise it on an initial inspection, or if they're looking for something in particular. But even just doing a pass over with a drone once or twice a year, maybe you have it set up for your 3rd, your 5, your 8, and your 10-year mark, that's fine too. It makes a big difference because certain components are just going to fail, like your pipe boots. A lot of the sealant they put on the exposed nails on different parts of the roof can wear off over time. It's just, especially if you're living in a hotter state, the silicone, all that caulk's just going to dry up, and then over time it will break down or fall off. So there's certain components that you just need to keep an extra eye on. Sometimes it's your power vents, anything that's mechanically or has a motor on it. A lot of times those don't last the full lifespan. Same thing with skylights, getting those checked out from time to time, or maybe after a heavy storm and a branch hits the roof. Just keeping a general maintenance on it. It's a lot of time one of those things where it's a set it and forget it. Just try not to do that when it comes to your roof. It's always worth it to just have somebody come out. Most of these inspections from just about every company is going to be free, so it's 100% worth your time to get a free opinion, and sometimes even get 2 if you don't trust the first one. Lastly, I'm going to touch on is waiting for a fresh storm. This is something I made the mistake of when I first started in the industry. I work alongside a pretty heavy insurance-based company, and when it was a really old roof and they didn't have enough damage and there was a storm, I just told them to wait for the next storm, and it was the wrong advice for sure. A lot of the times these roofs don't get to make it. There's no telling where a storm's going to end up. In Georgia, believe it or not, we have 50 hailstorms a year. The thing is, most of them are small and most of them hit over the fields or in the mountains. So banking on a storm that's going to result in a roof is just a bad roll of the dice. If you truly need it, especially if it has a leak or it's hanging on or it's anywhere in the 18 plus year range for an asphalt shingle, sometimes even 15 for a 3-tab, you're just rolling the dice. And a lot of the times it adds up leak after leak. It's usually a better decision. If you can, go ahead and get that roof. Obviously, not everybody has a big stack of money in their bank account to just go ahead and fork out for a roof. But a lot of these companies like us especially, we offer good financing options, meaning it's something you can get done today and then you can pay it off when it's just comfortable for you. So highly advise against this. And at the end of the day, it's very rare that I ever see roof prices go down. So if it's something where you're like, hey, you know, COVID's gone, everything's starting to calm down, prices are going to drop, I just haven't seen in the 5 years I've been doing this. It's starting to become more steady as far as increases, but it's just never going to go backwards. So if you're waiting for a storm and you have a super old roof and it's a problem, just don't make the mistake of waiting too long and letting the problems add up. And also from an insurance perspective as well, I'm no expert, but you may be waiting for a storm where it's not even going to result in what you want. A lot of these companies are not even writing full coverage policies anymore. So keep that in mind too. Maybe even check your policy to see if it's something even worth waiting around for. So those are my top 5 homeowner mistakes that I see all the time. Hope this helps, guys. Thanks for watching.